First off, I want to do a quick disclaimer at the beginning of this episode because we got some feedback. People don't know what this show is about, so I just want to quickly go over it if you didn't read the show notes. So Future Jam is a show about how science and technology is rapidly changing the world around us. It's a podcast designed to ignite curiosity about where humanity is headed tomorrow, 10 years from now, or as far as the mind can wander. All right, with all that out of the way, I'm sorry if you guys have listened to 30 episodes and not known what this show is about, but now you do. And I'm going to shoot it over to Alex. He's joining me for a second time, and maybe he might be joining me for a long time.
For one, I did not know that is what this podcast was about, so this will be my last time. Now happy to be here, Mike. You getting excited for Halloween?
I am. It's always way too cold around here, and it always rains, and I never want to go out and hand candy out in the rain.
Well, I don't mind handing candy out. I usually sit on my porch. We don't get a lot of kids in my neighborhood.
I'm just so jaded about it, though, Alex, because when I first moved into my house, I bought tons and tons of candy, turned my porch light on, and sat there for a good 2.5 hours, and not one kid rang my doorbell. I just heard them walking by, and not one kid was brave enough to come up to the door. And I live pretty close to the road. It's not like they had to go out of the way or anything like that.
People don't knock on doors anymore. You either have to have your door open or be sitting outside to give out candy. Kids don't knock on doors anymore. But
when I was a kid, I walked 5 miles around the neighborhood just to get all the candy, and I knocked on the doors. I went up long, dark driveways, and I went for it.
You didn't really want the candy. You just really like knocking on doors. There's a difference.
Yeah, I did. I did like all the different doors that are out there.
Just take pictures in front of each one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have a lot of pictures in front of doors. It's just a whole album of door pictures. But when I would go around, I would always barter with my sisters over candy, and I'd be like, "Hey, I'll give you all my Tootsie Rolls for your Skittles."
Oh, Skittles are my favorite.
And it worked like a charm almost every time. But they would never give me the Reese's, and Reese's was my favorite candy when I was a kid, and they would never trade me their Reese's.
We always poured our parents put ours in this a big bag, big bowls, and one bowl was all the chocolate candy, and one was all the Skittles and Sweet Tarts and all those, the sugar ones.
So you guys seem like a more sharing group than we were. We were kind of this is my candy and you can't have it. And for some reason, our parents let us keep our candy bags in our room.
I think we knew who got what big candy bars. But when you get the miniature ones, it doesn't matter who got what. But the big candy bars, we all knew who. I got this one.
So are you going to go with Skittles as your favorite Halloween candy?
Yeah, I love Skittles. I actually bought a bag of Skittles today at work because I was in the mood for them.
The original, or is it this, the Very Berry or whatever they call it?
I just did
Wild Berry.
I do the original.
I think I'm a Wild Berry guy.
Really? I like the sour Skittles occasionally.
Those just tear up your mouth, man. I can't do the sour Skittles. They just ruin you. You feel bad for the next couple of days. I would still go Reese's. I can't have them anymore because I'm kind of peanut butter and peanuts kind of mess me up a little bit, but I just love Reese's. I don't think it's hard to top that.
That's an old man. I can't handle Reese's anymore.
Well, I'm slightly allergic to peanuts or nuts in general.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they kind of mess me up. But yeah, we'll put a poll out there and we'll see which one wins out this week, because last week we polled and asked you guys out there what movie would you see in theaters, and people voted for Interstellar over top of RoboCop 3. I'm sorry, Alex.
Yes, it's BS. I think you were paying people off.
I don't even have enough money. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I wouldn't even know how to do that, Alex. Yeah. I'm not paying nobody off. You know you're wrong. RoboCop 3 does not belong in the theater.
Yes, it does. People would love it. It's the movie that would bring people back.
You think that would
I
solve
think
all
so.
of our problems?
I think it will.
All right, well, we'll put that poll up and we'll see who wins this week, Skittles versus Reese's.
Okay.
And also in the comments, put your favorite candy in, and maybe we'll agree with you and just ditch what we chose.
Not a chance for Skittles. You want to get in our first news story? We need like a segment break for a news story, like news stories, something like that.
A drum roll or something.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't really say this is kind of a fun one, because I've been to, like, embarrassingly, I've been to 2 McDonald's in a row. Like, I want my ice cream, and I've gone to one, and then I'm like, this McDonald's, the ice cream machine is broken, and I drove to the one down the road. That one was broken as well. Gave up and went home.
yeah, so software engineer decided to create an app to let people know what McDonald's ice cream machines are working at a certain time. It was pretty genius how he did it. He's using the McDonald's app, and every half an hour is ordering like over $18,000 worth of ice cream products from McDonald's, and they're letting him know if the machine's working at that McDonald's or not.
He's not actually like putting the order through. It's just like if it denies him from adding to the cart, then he knows that it's not available, I believe.
So like I guess he tried to do it at like every hour, but like McDonald's is referring to him as like a bot, so they wouldn't let it go through.
They saw all that extra traffic and they're like, no, we can't. This looks fishy.
I guess there was already an app for it, but it was based off like crowdsourcing, so you had to rely on people to let you know if they went to a McDonald's and it was at a.
And that never works, because you have to have the person download the app. You have to have the person go into the app and select, yes, there's no ice cream, or no, there is. So I feel like those crowdsource apps rarely work. So his method seems like the way to go. And they even said that McDonald's doesn't want to shut him down. Like they think this is a good thing.
Well, it's free advertisements, because as soon as I read this article, I was like, ooh, a McFlurry sounds good.
That's true. They did have the Chips Ahoy one that was delicious recently. But they said that only 10% of the McDonald's ice cream machines are usually down. So probably a lot less than I expected, because I expected that to go way higher. But
well, when you go to get ice cream and it's down, it sticks with you. You don't think about the other like 10 times you went to get ice cream. You think about that one time that you really wanted ice cream and it was broken.
It's really like a painful experience, because you need that little rush of sugar, and like your throat's dry, you want some ice cream. But yeah, if you're living in New York City, that's like probably the worst place to get McDonald's ice cream. It looks like 24% of the time you're out of luck.
Is that just like a volume of McDonald's, I'm guessing?
Yeah, maybe. And Washington, D.C. is probably next up at like 14%. And I think Seattle sucks as well. So don't any of those places. It's not worth getting McDonald's ice cream. Mm-hmm. You'll be out of luck. But I actually find better luck earlier in the day. If you go like 8 or 9 o'clock, it's probably going to be shut down, because it takes forever to clean those machines. So that's the first thing they shut down.
Well, and that's when people are getting ice cream more likely. It's late at night.
Yeah. And it seems like it's whenever you really, really want it, it's not there. So not a clutch place to go for ice cream. But yeah, they're pretty good for other things. Mm. By any chance, do you remember those Google Glass glasses that came out like 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, that just kind of went away.
Yeah, they were like little, it had a camera on it for some reason, and you could wear them to see the time in front of you, whether it could record like video. I think it had other features as well, but not a lot.
No, well, it was the first one out there, and it was like, I think it was like an arms race for like wearable technology. You got your watches and all, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do glasses.
It was like really expensive too, like $1,500 or $2,000 or something.
Yeah, but Apple's glasses are supposedly coming out, and these sound awesome. That's for the one feature that they are working on right now, where you can compare 2 products in the store side by side. So if you're holding them close enough together, it will bring up on the glasses like a rundown of like if you have 2 packs of cookies. It'll run down like all the nutritional values of cookies and stuff like that. is the first food I can think
You're
of.
not going to be looking at the nutritional value of cookies.
But like, if you're looking like, especially, I think it would be good like if you're like a vegan or something like that, and you're like, well, what's the difference between this two? This one might be vegan friendly, and like it will show you like the ingredients and like the breakdown of each product if you hold them close enough side by side.
Yeah, you could probably build a profile and then kind of put in there like what your preferences are. And what's cool about that also is I know I'm always looking at the price tags like really low to see like the price per ounce or whatever. And I'm sure like that would be built in so you could know right off the bat like which one's the better value. Because it takes up a lot of energy to like juggle all these different products in the store and say, okay, am I getting a good value here, or is this like a waste of money or what?
Oh yeah, like I don't know, I was just thinking like I've never been more lost than buying like medicine for my kids when they're babies, like what like ibuprofen or Tylenol they can take, and like I'm comparing different brands to see what they have and all. I just remember it would be so much easier with this, like breaking it down for you and giving you the prices and all.
Yeah, this is all from like a leaked patent. So that somebody leaked a patent from Apple, and insiders are saying it might be released anywhere from 2021 to 2022 if it ever sees the light of day. But I think it has a lot of applications, and it looks like they're going to have like two different models. Like one like a style like model you would wear like fancy glasses. And another one would be like a more of a business oriented one, like an augmented reality glasses, kind of like what Microsoft does with their AR glasses. And it would probably be used like on the business side of things to like for shipping and making sure workplaces are safe or all sorts of different things. Microsoft's been using those AR glasses in the business section for a while now. But one thing they did say they're going to leave off there is the camera, because that's just a big privacy concern.
Yeah. You know,
Think about anywhere you go, like you want somebody recording you, like in public, like in the bathroom, like anywhere, pretty much anywhere they're at. Like if they're wearing glasses, they can record.
Well, now with people's phones, people just record other people all the time anyway.
Yeah, but
you can see your phone
when you're in the bathroom. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of concerns there. I don't know if it'll ever get released, just because it's hard to overlay information that close to your face. Like Google tried it and it worked okay, but I think a lot of people had headaches or it just didn't work as well as they'd hoped. And I think Google re-released it recently for business as well. So maybe the business side will take this stuff up and then we'll get it down the road when it's better.
Well, speaking of Apple and Google, do you think they have enough money to pay for this new technology to promote it?
Yeah, I think Google has tons of money. Tons and tons of money.
Building off that, it was just released and Google's getting in trouble for antitrust laws. That in 2017, Google paid somewhere between $8 to $12 billion to Apple to be the default search engine on all the Apple phones. So your iPhone, when you pull it up, is Google's the first search engine. And it makes sense for both of them. Makes sense because Apple is going to get a ton of money. And Google, they said half the searches from Google now come from Apple phones. And that's how Google makes their money off people using their search engine. So it makes sense that they want to be the default. People don't usually change their search engine.
Yeah, whatever's the default is what sticks. And Google is in the business of ad revenue, and the more information they have on you, the more money they make, because they can build profiles on you and sell product to you and sell you as a product to other companies. So it makes sense, but it does seem like they're like a corporation with unlimited resources. And if you're in the search game, if you're trying to build an application or a website that searches the internet for things, it's almost impossible to compete, because Google basically has like the monopoly in almost every country outside of China on search. Like there's Bing, but who uses Bing?
I forgot Bing was a thing still.
Yeah, they rebranded Yahoo basically. Basically, Microsoft bought Yahoo, rebranded to Bing. But still, it's not as good as Google, because the more people that use a search algorithm, the better the search algorithm gets. So it's like one of those things where you can't compete. And I think that's what everybody's afraid of, and that's what the government's looking into, because they feel like Google's unjustly using their wealth to, get this leg up on the competition.
Yeah, especially because they can't like outright say this is the only search engine you can use on the phone. They can't do that, but to be the default by paying all that money to do it, to the biggest single phone manufacturer, like brand wise, in Apple.
Yeah. I think Samsung's still the biggest worldwide, but Apple is close to second or third. They're at least probably the biggest single provider in America, though.
Yeah. And like on Apple's end, they said that payment account for 14 to 21% of their profits for that year. So like just that one payment from Google, so they're going to take it. And like you were saying with the unlimited funds, another company can't compete with Google with that kind of upfront money. So, and Apple doesn't care once people buy the phone, who they're using.
Yeah, people keep asking, like, why doesn't Apple, like, build their own search engine? And I'm like, why would you build your own search engine if you're just going to get all that free money from Google? Like, there's no point in even trying to do that. And Apple's not really much for selling people's information to other companies. They're like a privacy first type of company. So they're not really going to make much off of even having a search engine anyways. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting story. Just how behind the scenes money changes hands and people don't know it. And like Google's on your phone, but you don't know why it got there, but you kind of know now a little bit why it's there.
And like, you wouldn't be surprised if they paid every other phone brand some type of money for it. Whereas it's coming out for Apple now.
All right, enough about Google and Apple. Let's move on from there. Let's talk about some green technology. There's a recent study that was released about wind turbines, because I think the big fear everybody has, or at least in America, everybody always comes up with these crazy fears about like solar panels and wind turbines, that they're going to kill birds or ruin the planet. Like, I guess fossil fuel companies really are against all of that renewable energy stuff. So it's up to people who study these things to prove them wrong.
Yeah, so they did a 3-year study in Denmark of wind turbines. They studied these flocks of geese and cranes in this area that had to fly through a wind farm. And they determined over the 3 years and the 3 different seasons that 99.9% of the birds were fine. They did find some dead birds by the turbines, but they couldn't confirm that the turbine killed them, but kind of obvious that it's them crashing in there. But a 99.9% rate of birds survive. I think birds are a lot smarter than we think they are. I think they're going to see a giant moving object. They're not going to run into it.
Yeah, and somebody said that if they paint like one of the blades a different color, that even shows that turbine to the birds even better, and they avoid it. But yeah, I found that interesting, because this was a good place to study, because I think that was a bird sanctuary right there. So there was like birds flying in and out, in and out, in and out.
And they said it didn't affect like the natural like patterns at all, like building these turbines. Like they still seeing the same flying patterns and all. So it's a good sign. I think that is a big knock. The one time people against renewable energy care about the environment is when they can try to use it in their favor, saying, oh, these poor birds, they don't care about the birds. But this is at least a sign that shows that birds would be fine if we build these wind turbines.
I think that all different types of renewable energy, I think that's where we're going to eventually go to. And we'll probably get rid of most fossil fuels eventually, I think.
Well, this is going to be a bigger topic we discuss about in the future one day, but...
No, never. I never want to talk about renewable energy again.
It all depends on when corporate America takes control of, like, gets involved in renewable energy. Like when you look at like Amazon and all, when they start using it more is when I think you'll see Amazon building their fleet of electric cars. It's going to be a big explode their fossil fuels and things
Yeah,
like that.
that's the big thing now is for every corporation to say we're carbon neutral or we're not like leaving much of a footprint anymore. But who knows if how much of that's marketing and how much of that's actual they're doing a good job. I don't know. I think we'll find out.
Well, before we go on a tangent, let's focus on our topic of our main discussion today.
Let's narrow it in on that topic of yours. So Alex actually brought this to me, and we were looking into a lot of different things. We were first one to look at like smartwatches and like wearables and that type of thing. But that's kind of like passe at this time. Like a lot of people already have those things. So I wouldn't think that would be like the best thing to talk about just because you're probably wearing a smartwatch right now or a smart ring or whatever. So we kind of like looked over that and decided on something a little bit more interesting and
controversial.
Kind of like there's like it's a two-edged sword here because there's a lot of good and there's a lot of like weird things that could be done with this to, negatively affect your life. And what I'm talking about is the microchips that you can put on your hand, like in your skin flap between your pointer finger and your thumb. So basically microchips in your body.
Yeah, so we're talking about radio frequency identification chips that, like Mike said, they're about the size, a little bit larger than a grain of rice that they put in right by your thumb on kind of to the side by the index finger. I saw a video of somebody getting like it put in. It's just kind of like a needle that they put, like they poke into your hand and then it's kind of push it through and put it in your hand and it's just there. Like somebody has it, you can see the chip in their hand. But
it has a little small bulge right there between your thumb and your pointer finger.
Yeah.
Not to bring up small bulges on the podcast.
This is a family podcast.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So let's a little background. Like these chips first got big in Sweden. So Sweden has a big population. They say about like 10 million people population in Sweden. So like 6,000 people have it. They're a little bit further advanced than America is with theirs. Like people can pay for their train tickets with them. They have like ticket events on their chips. But mainly when they first were invented is to like unlock your doors, security for work is like a big like first go around with it, or making payments. People can just put their phone on stuff. Well, instead of using your phone, you're just using your chip to make payments.
Yeah, there was actually a company, I believe it was in, do you remember what state it was? Was it Wisconsin?
Yes.
And they actually did this in 2017, and it made the news all over the place, where they had a lot of their employees opt in to get the chip in their hand to get into work and to buy stuff at the vending machine. And when that story came out, I remember all the people who worked there were pretty excited about it. But, there's a lot of excitement around it just because it will make things a little bit easier. Like if you forget your phone at your home, or if you don't have to carry a set of keys around with you anymore. I think that's cool. But there's a lot of states that are passing laws to make it so your company can't force you to have one of these in your body. There's only 7 right now that have passed these laws, but I could see more like doing that.
Yeah, I think going back to that company, I saw a video. Somebody went there and got a chip and spent the day with the company walking around. And it does look nice. Like right now I have to badge in for my job and I always have to make sure I have my badge and all. But you just walk in and it's on your hand. They can pick it up that you work there. They have like a little snack area. You can put money on your chip and just use that to pay. You don't need to have like a separate card and all. The real nice thing I saw was that they didn't need passwords. Like you don't have to remember a password. Like they have a thing
on the computer interface, like computers.
Yeah, USB plug-in, and they just put their hand on that, and it unlocks their computer. So like it's a lot more secure for companies to do the chips. But then, like you were saying, states banning companies from forcing employees to get chips, which makes sense. A company shouldn't shouldn't be able to force you to put something in your body just so you can have a job.
I think the worry is that the company could use it to track you in other ways, or as these chips get better, they could monitor things in your body as well, as far as like blood alcohol content, or other substances possibly, or where you're at or what you're doing. So there's a lot of gray area there.
The thing I watched, they made a point to say they were non-GPS chips, so they couldn't track their employees to where they go. And they had different people talking about, like, some agreed with it, some didn't feel comfortable with it. But it does seem like there's a lot of good. The only thing I can relate it to is when I went to Disney World, they have like the magic bands. So like that, you just wear your band, it can unlock your hotel room, it has your tickets on it, you can put a credit card on there, you can pay for your food if you have a dining plan, your food meals and all. So you don't need your wallet, you're just using that and it's right on your wrist and all. The biggest difference is that you can just take that off. I mean, it's super easy and super nice. I liked it a lot, but when it comes to putting something in your hand, I don't know, I can't get over that.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow. I do love that convenience though, but I think as everything's moving to the phone, you can do a lot of that stuff already with the phone, and they're already figuring that out. So there might not be a reason to do it unless you want to leave your phone at home. Maybe instead of doing the fingerprint unlock on your phone or the face unlock, which is both of them are kind of annoying, maybe you just put your hand up to your phone and it unlocks it.
I did see a video of that, and if you do it on your phone, it can bring up your information. They say a big thing is for like security, like you can get your passport on your chip, or and a lot of passports now have that chip already in there for security reasons. Mm-hmm. So like in the future is you wouldn't need a passport, or you wouldn't need like a driver's license. It would just be on that chip.
Yeah, there's a lot of states already going to like the digital driver's license in some places. Yeah. But, dude, I would love that. Like, but then I see the downside as well that some people are seeing. But I guess maybe if it's one of those things where you can opt in and opt out of the different services or attachments or like that type of thing, I'd be more comfortable with it, knowing that certain things couldn't be done.
The worry is eventually the technology, they're going to figure out a way to hack it. Somebody's going to figure out a way to hack chips, and then if all your information's on that chip,
still your full identity and everything about you.
And that's like a big worry. Right now, they say it's a lot more secure than your chip payments on your credit card, because that's like a similar type chip.
Or what if somebody, I didn't even think of this, what if somebody like held you at gunpoint and cut like if you're a rich person, cut the chip right out of your hand, they could just drain your whole bank account.
I mean, that sounds like a cool movie. But
yeah, I think we have a movie right here. I think we should do this.
I mean, because I think a lot of it's connected to like an app where you can control a lot what you want on your chip.
Yeah.
But do you really want like a lot of your credit cards all on one device, Like the thing about credit cards, you lose one of them, you might have a second one, so you're only canceling one. That gets hacked, and you're canceling, 5? But it does look nice when you can just pay for something by just giving them your hand.
Yeah, and I did see some other applications that they're kind of pushing for, because I think right now in America, the police gun violence thing is a big issue, or basically police brutality in general, and maybe having this chip in your hand also be able to unlock or lock a gun. So like the gun will not fire unless that chip is in your hand and it matches that gun. So I've seen that pushed around a little bit, and I think they want to do it, but they're getting pushback from like the police officers because they're worried, like, what if it malfunctions? Or what if it doesn't work when we need it and it's a life and death situation? Or what if I need to pick up the other officer's gun for some reason and that gun wouldn't work?
And I think it also goes back to even though they're like public servants, can we require them to be a police officer? You have to get a chip in your hand as more of like a constitutional right.
Yeah, I guess there's going to be a lot of pushback, I feel like, especially smaller police forces that do not want to be involved with that at all.
I was like going on that. I was reading a story today, a very like a sad story. A 3-year-old shot himself like at a birthday party. Was like got a gun, found a gun in the house, and was playing with it. Like, could this be because a lot of people don't have gun safes? Could this be something where like, oh, I have a chip, and my gun is protected by the chip, so it could something that could be a protector for like leaving your gun in your house. You don't have to worry about if your kid gets in it. You can still have your gun. Until
it's a good idea, but I don't know how many people are going to opt in to buy a gun with that feature on it or upgrade it. It'd have to be one of those things where the government would have to force it, like everybody has to do this. And again, America's one of the freest. Well, we love to believe we're free, anyways. So we don't even want to wear masks. A lot of people don't even want to wear masks. So I don't know if we're going to even be able to get everybody to put a chip in their hand. That's way more invasive than wearing a mask on your face.
Well, I think like if you like had the option, like, oh, you can buy this gun and it's only used with your chip, like, will people be willing to buy it?
Yeah, maybe the way they could do it is like the government always wins you over with money. So like give like a rebate or like a huge money back thing where if you do this, you'll be rewarded.
What's that? Is that Dredd? Judge Dredd, the movie where like the gun only works for the judges.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's been done in a couple sci-fi movies though.
And like another thing I saw, which I think realistically I think would be the best practical version for this, is keeping your medical history on these chips. So like when you go to a hospital, like it's already all right there. One of the worst parts about going to like a new hospital is writing down like your whole medical history, and like your family history. And
yeah, that sucks.
I have a lot of surgeries when I was a kid that I don't remember anything about, but I have to, remember like, well, was that this year or what was that? What was that surgery? Being able to have that where you can go in and also like you would have your medical records. A lot of times you don't have your own medical records. Like you can request them and you have to go to the hospital, but this way you can move around and
That's
keep
true.
your medical.
It does make it easier to move around from hospital to hospital or doctor to doctor. I actually have my medical records because my pediatrician gave them to me and said, hey, give this to your doctor whenever you find one. And it's been
16 years.
It's been about 10, 15 years. So I could drop dead at any moment.
But like, and then if you drop dead and you had one of the chips, they can also ID you. So like, you want to have like these John Does or something like that. They will be able to ID people, and in some cases, like you can list like a emergency contact and all that. They'll be able to pull up, and somebody at least know who to contact. Those are practical things I think will be good. But again, like, do you really want to keep all that information just on you?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's a lot of information on there. Like almost your whole life would be on this one chip.
I think like it would be something like over time, like with our phones and all, where you get a chip, and like 3 to 4 years, like it's upgraded, and you get like a new chip. So you're not like getting outdated ones, because it seems like a pretty simple process, and like they can remove them.
That's what I didn't see. Is it seem like it's pretty easy to remove?
The video I watched, the guy said they could remove it the same day, and he could even remove it himself. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, that sounds a little sketchy, but yeah, if it's easy to remove, then why not?
And like the cost is cheap.
Yeah, $50 or $30 or something like that.
It was $50 for the chip and $50 for the injection of the chip.
That's not expensive at all. It's pretty low cost to entry.
For technology like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good price range to get a lot of a big adoption. It's just I think a lot of people are leery. It might take a company like Apple. I know we talked about them earlier. It might take a company like them or Google to like mainstream it. I still think there's a bit of a iffy side to it. Like I was reading an article about like using it to help parenting, and like if you have the chip in your kid's hand, maybe you could like lock their phone down easier so they can't use the phone without your permission, or other things like that, like track where they go, or a lot of different like things you could do as far as parenting goes, which I think is kind of like a gray area.
I think the biggest thing would be tracking your kids, because you're always worried when you're not around your kids. Where are your kids? And I think that would be a big one. But it's that gray area, like, because I thought about it, like, would I chip my kids? And if I'm not willing to get a chip, I'm not going to chip my kid.
I see a lot of people buying Apple Watches or for their kids just so they can track it to see where their kids are at.
Well, like, you have your phone features, track my phone and all. There's ways you can track your kids now. But, like, this is something that they can't lose. Kids lose stuff, Mike, all the time.
But it's getting to the gray area where your kid's not a cat or a dog.
Yeah.
You microchip them.
The biggest worry for everybody when it comes to microchips is being tracked, which is like the least of my worries, because like, oh, this guy just doesn't move at all.
This guy goes to McDonald's and gets ice cream every day. What are we going to do with him?
But like, that's like the biggest worry for a lot of people. Like, they're just going to use it to track you and all. And like, you should be able to opt out on like the GPS tracker and all, but it does seem like the idea of it seems nice.
Yeah, I think it just depends on who's in power, like who's like leading your country and what they can do with that information to like bring you down.
My thing is putting it into my body. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I keep my body like a temple.
Yeah, it's like the holy temple.
Yeah,
one of the best ones.
Nice. But like the idea of putting something in my body that like it's not for like a health reason, I don't want to do it. I guess like, and I heard there's like worries about corrosion over time and all, which makes sense. It's going to eventually break down. That's why I think like people upgrade them every so often.
That's the corrosion part's kind of scary, right? Because you can get like, depending on what's in it, like you can get heavy metal poisoning. I think one of my friend's dads had like a knee replacement, and they used the wrong metal in the knee replacement, and it gave him heavy metal poisoning over like an 8 to 10 year period of time, and he started getting blood clots and all sorts of stuff, and they couldn't figure out why until they narrowed it down to that one piece that they put in his knee that was deteriorating and poisoning him.
That's like, we don't know the long-term effects of it. I mean, these radio frequencies, I doubt it. I mean, they've been around for a long, long time. They could eventually determine they are harmful for us. But they have been around for a super long time.
But we're getting bombarded by radio frequencies all over, like, nonstop.
So, but like that, like, and I saw one concern, like, they might interfere with MRI machines. But I feel like if you're getting an MRI that...
You can have it popped out and pop back in again.
Yeah. So, like, it's like a big gray area. I mean, it sounds super easy. Like, it sounds nice. Like, to be able to go, like, as a ticket taker for professional sports teams, a couple of them. Like, it is annoying when people come up to you and don't have, like, their ticket ready. But they always have their hand ready. So you can just, like, scan their hands and, like, the ticket's there. Like, you don't need to remember anything. Like, that's the nice thing.
Yeah, so I think it's all about convenience. Once it's like super convenient and it benefits the user the most, then they'll push aside all the other privacy concerns and go with it. Because there's so many things we do now that have privacy concerns, but we're getting stuff out of it that we don't even worry about it.
Well, another great area. What do you think about this? Washington State is looking into maybe using it to monitor sex offenders and other felons with these chips. Like, to me, it sounds nice, but again, it goes back to those privacy concerns or the American rights that you have. Yeah,
there's all sorts of stuff. Like, do you believe in rehabilitating people, or do you believe that they should just always be tracked for the rest of their life? Yeah, we treat like people who have offended the law pretty badly in America. Like, they can't vote anymore if they get certain criminal. If they're what is it, like
felonies?
Basically, if you're a felon or worse, you can't vote anymore. Like you lose all rights as a human being when you go to jail, and then afterwards you don't gain it back. Really, you are at the lowest point of the totem pole.
Yeah, and I think once you decide that you can microchip one part of society, even if they are like criminals, it's a slippery slope to you saying like you can microchip everybody. That's how I feel. I'm a firm believer that it should just be a voluntary procedure. If you want to get it, you can get it. It doesn't hurt anybody else. So like if you want to get it, it doesn't bother me. To me, it's just injecting a technology into your body that isn't really saving your life. It's just making your life convenient.
I think it could be very beneficial if you have like an older like grandparent or parent that is starts having Alzheimer's or something like that, where dementia, and you could track where they're at or different things like that.
And I saw it's been used to open like car doors. Like, are we far enough that eventually it can be used that it can turn on your car?
Yeah, I think so. Because you can already do that with your phone with a lot of companies. You could just wave your phone in front of the door to unlock it. So I don't see why it would be any different with like a hand thing. But yeah, do you have any other final thoughts on this topic or before we sign off?
No, I just keep going back that would I do it or not? That's why I just keep thinking. Would I get one?
I would do it if I feel like I'm getting enough benefit out of it. That's how I think.
It seems nice. I don't think there's a lot of stuff in my life right now that it would benefit. There's not a lot of technology like that where we live.
Yeah.
That we use it a lot of places.
We're not a very technologically advanced area, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Even if we were, I still don't think I would get it. It's just the idea of having something in my skin, like, and you can see it, and I think that bothers me a lot. Like if I needed like a pacemaker,
you don't want that beauty mark on your
my perfect hands.
Yeah, you said you were going to be a hand model.
That's the dream, Mike. That's the dream. Getting by on my looks.
We all dream of eating ice cream with those beautiful hands at McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's the dream right there.
I just don't think I would ever do it. Like, I'm not against putting technology in my body if I needed like a pacemaker or something, but that's keeping me alive.
Yeah.
This is making it so I don't have to turn my hand or get my keys out.
Well, let's help Alex decide. Do you think Alex should get this in his body? Yes or no? Jump in the comments on our Facebook page or on our Twitter or even on Instagram. I don't know what you can do on Instagram. I don't use it, but Alex is a big Instagram aficionado.
My 30 followers.
Yeah, huge following. So you can find us on Twitter at The Future Jam, on Facebook at The Future Jam, and even on Instagram at The Future Jam.
You got all three?
Yeah, we got all three. And also, don't forget to go leave us a review on Apple if you have an iPhone. That would be really nice. We have quite a few good reviews, but it's nice to hear from people. It just makes you feel good.
Only if they're nice reviews.
Only if they're nice reviews. I mean, if they listen this long, do you really think they're gonna leave a scathing review?
It's the long revenge plot.
That's true. They're hate listening to us right now. They just can't wait to get to the end of this to leave us a horrible review. But do you have anything else to add before we sign off, Alex?
No, just make sure you microchip your children.
Yeah, make sure you microchip your children, your pets, and your grandparents. All right. We'll catch you next Thursday, and this has been The Future Jam.